9 most bizarre punishments from ancient history. Well, they say the ancient people lived in simpler times, but if you were on the wrong side of the law, criminal punishments were heinous, brutal, shockingly evil, and vile, and if you were lucky enough to get a non-violent punishment, then the other was simply humiliating. Here are 9 most bizarre punishments from ancient history. Crushing by elephants. This was one of the most terrifying methods of execution. It comes from ancient Southeast Asia. The convicts were executed by crushing them using elephants. The method was quite popular in India from the Mughal period until the last 19th century. The criminal were let down and while angry elephants ran over them, repeatedly ensuring a quick yet painful death. Death in a cage. Popular in Italy and Britain, if anyone was sentenced to death, then it meant that they had to go through both agonizing tortures as well as public humiliation, and being isolated naked in a cage was the way to do it. The criminal was put inside an iron cage in a public place without any clothes or food and starved to death. Ancient Egyptians used to cut people's nose off if they broke the laws of the state. Once the punishment was served, the criminals were sent to prison of Frankorura near Gaza. It was a place full of crooks without noses. No one was above the law in ancient Egypt, and corrupt government officials too were given the same punishment. Once a pharaoh's wife slit his throat in his sleep, she along with all the conspirators were sentenced to have their nose cut off. Animal masks and humiliating badges. People liked to ridicule and humiliate criminals in the Middle Ages. The best non-violent punishment was forcing the criminals to wear horrifying animal masks and roam them around the city. Apart from these terrifying masks, criminals were given humiliating badges which they had to wear for their whole lives. The badges indicate that those criminals were not to be trusted with anything ever again. Mud. Execution by suffocating was a very common practice in ancient times. However, in the medieval period, a very strange kind of suffocating techniques was used called mud, the glorious mud. Historians tell us that the criminal was killed by throwing him or her in a pit full of stinky mud. The convict either died by drowning or suffocating. In medieval France, suffocating by mud was reserved only for unfaithful wives. Death in a metal bowl. In ancient Greece, people were punished by cooking them inside a giant bowl made of bronze. The convicted person was both locked inside a metal bowl and a fire was lit under it. This slowly burned the person to death. The people passing by used to enjoy this act of brutality and thought of it as some kind of entertainment. The dunking or cooking stool. The cooking stool were used in the 16th and 17th England and New England to punish women accused of doing something unwomanly. At that time, gossiping, backbiting, having an argument with the husband, and fighting with the neighbor were considered unwomanly things. Convicted women were tied up to a stool and then dropped into a lake or a stream again and again. Ordeal trials. The ordeal trials were a test of innocence or guilt by inflicting severe pain on the accused. If the accused survived the pain, they were innocent. If they didn't, they were guilty. There was basically 3 types of ordeal trials. One was cold water, where the accused was tied up and thrown into the water. In this case, floating was a sign of guilt, and sinking to the bottom meant you are innocent. The second one was hot water, where a boiling stone was put on the accused body. If the wounds healed within 3 days, it meant you are innocent. If they didn't, it meant you are guilty. The last one was hot iron, where the accused had to hold hot iron without burning in order to prove their innocence. Iron Maiden. The Iron Maiden was a very popular instrument in Europe in medieval times. It was basically like an iron cabinet with multiple little metal spikes on the inside. The criminals were forced inside the cabinet and it was slowly closed until they died. Sometimes it wasn't fully closed if the purpose was just to torture the criminal. In the end, I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. If you like it, please share it with your family, friends, and don't forget to support us by subscribing down there and tell us what you think about this video in the comment below.